Hello and welcome along to the final episode of Season 1 of the Where's My Kitbag podcast with your lovely hosts, myself, James.
Me, Will.
And I'm Steve.
Somehow we've survived 25 whole episodes.
That's pretty good.
That's quite impressive, really.
Yeah, I think it's a great run. A nice start for Season 1. But pretty much we've got the exact right number of episodes for an American TV show.
Do you reckon we'll hit 50 next year?
What,
No.
50
Oh my
total?
goodness, jeez.
Yeah, because we started late in the year, didn't we?
Yeah.
I don't think we can hit 50, can we? We've got a hold of like
No,
summer
I
and
don't.
stuff.
I don't think we can fit about
40?
What, 40 episodes next year?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna say 30. I think we could probably do 30.
I don't know.
Don't know.
Well,
Only one way to find out. Join us next year on Where's My Kitbag?
play the outro.
I don't have an outro prepared. I'm so sorry. No, I mean we could hit 50 episodes total
Okay.
next year.
I like that. That's a good compromise.
I don't know. We'll have to see how it goes. I think is what's going to be the answer. Indeed, do thine math. How are we all on this final episode? Are
Feeling
we
good, yeah.
feeling
The students have
sad?
disappeared.
I know, it's great.
Just the staff in now. And
Constant meetings.
kind of a bit sad. It's a bit sad as the last one. But, we're back in September, I'm sure.
Is it that sad? Well,
It is a bit.
sad
How
violin. sad.
are we going to get the tech news out there?
I don't know. Steve, going to make a summer newsletter?
I think the first one back in September will be quite big, but don't expect a newsletter throughout the summer. It's not going to happen. Soz.
Steve wants a hollybob.
A what?
Hollybob. Holiday.
Yes. Oh, yes. I am.
Go on your hollybobs. Have you never heard that term before?
No.
All right. Maybe it's just me because I'm old.
I'm naive.
I'm naive to these terms.
Yeah.
Kick us off. Where are we going?
Yeah. Steve, yeah, you said you had some interesting tidbits to talk to us about.
So, yeah. Do you want to play the TechNet news thing like it's a segment? Because it's nothing to do with TechNet news.
I mean,
I kind of answered that question.
Let's mix it up this episode. Let's go off cuff.
So
there we go.
Last week,
yes.
Last week we talked about some different off-the-cuff scenarios
Yes.
that we've evolved this week. I mean, the questions idea for those who listened last week was great, but I feel like we could have gone off on any tangent. So we've made our own. I've got 3 hypothetical questions to kind of give you,
Love it.
and I want to know your thoughts. Okay.
All right.
Some are obviously life and death, and one of them is to do with money. Okay.
Ooh. Okay.
So the first one I have for you, I feel like
Yes.
there should be like some Who Wants to Be a Millionaire like tension music. Do we have any tension music?
I have sad violin
No,
on
that won't
repeat.
work. That's fine. poor prep by myself there, I should have said.
Might
Right.
be.
So the first
Oh,
one.
wait. Hang on. Is this
Oh, that actually
Heartbeats?
works.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, keep that in the background.
All right.
Okay. So
I don't have much of it though, but I'll leave it there.
even just to start every hypothetical, I think that works. Okay, so you're in a room and you have a bag in front of you and you can't see what's in the bag, okay?
Is it a kit bag?
Interesting, but no. So yeah, you have a bag you can't see, and you know there's 100 plastic balls in there. Okay, 99 of them are blue, and 1 of them is red. Okay, you can dip as many times as you want. If you bring out a blue ball, you win £1 million. If you bring out a red ball, you get a terrible. You'll die essentially. Yeah.
Oh.
You'll die. Okay. How many times you dipping, or are you dipping at all?
Wait.
You can't see what's in the bag. It's literally a case of putting your hand in, having a little rummage.
So there's 99 blues,
99 blue balls,
1 red.
1 red.
The red one kills you.
The red one will kill you.
And every time you pull out a blue, you get $1 million.
How many times you dipping?
Not worth for me.
Nothing at all.
No, not worth.
Interesting.
Ooh. I mean, the odds are in your favour at the beginning. Like the odds of pulling out red as ball number 1 is like horrendous.
But not impossible.
Not impossible.
A 1 in 100 chance.
A 1 in 100 chance.
I think there's 1 in 100 chance to die. I think that's quite high odds of dying.
Death versus not death.
You're the safest person I've heard. You guys would be the 5th and 6th people, excluding myself, that I've heard answer this question. And you're the safest person.
I value life too much than that.
That's a really good answer.
Yeah, I value life over £99 million. I could say would be.
Oh God, I would not go 99.
No.
Jeez Louise.
That is
Right, it's, as long as I can see the
dipping-
balls going into the bag, so I know 100% there's only one red ball and everything else is blue.
Oh no, you have to like there is. Yeah, okay. If that was to give you peace of mind, you could see all the balls going in there if you wanted to. But it's just that scenario. There's only one red ball. And there's 99 blue. Because I'll give you my answer after you've given yours. Because obviously I think mine might be quite leading.
See, I'll be tempted to do one, just one.
Yeah,
just one.
See, I was originally on that. I'd say 2.
Oh,
because I was like
gambling man.
Yeah. As silly as it sounds, obviously £1 million is a lot of money, but as soon as I've spent £1, it'd be 999,999. That doesn't look as good as $1 million.
You're not a millionaire.
No. So I dip once, but what I'd probably do is just double dip really quickly. It's just 1 and 2. Done. Hold the 2, see what happens, and hopefully walk away with 2 million. No more.
Oh wow.
I know a few people. One person was a famous comedian. His name escapes me because I listened to it about a month ago. He said he had dipped 5 times. 5 times.
5.
Yeah. Most people have, like I said, your one bail. It's just once. £1 million is life changing.
Yeah, that would go a long way. I could finally buy my Nikon Z6.
Bloody hell! Well, you could get a lot more than the
Z6.
Z6.
You could get quite a bit.
I'm starting.
You could get
low.
like almost. Wow.
I could get 4 Ferraris.
You could get like 300 Z6s. Like that's
I
crazy.
I don't have 300 hands. I only need one.
But yeah,
I get every lens for it. Oh,
realistically,
gorgeous.
in the situation, I'd like to imagine my adrenaline would be through the roof, and I'd probably only do it once. But you know, it's interesting.
I think if this was a real situation, I'll be quite surprised to see how many people actually dipped.
Interesting, yeah. I like the thought.
I don't know. I think by dipping, you're saying there's a value on my life kind of thing.
Yeah.
Or saying like, well, you are. You're putting money versus life, aren't you? Just better. There's just better odds to money.
Yeah. Interesting.
Interesting debate.
Hypothetical scenario number 2. Okay.
We can stop the heartbeat. I think that's kind of like killing me in the ear now. Feels like my head thumping.
So there is a small snail. Okay. It's always following you. Have you seen the film It Follows? Horror film, came out 2015. No, really good horror film. If you want to check it out, very original idea. It's not based on that, but it's a similar kind of idea. Okay. So there's a snail that follows you. It goes at the speed of a snail. There's a lot of complications into how smart or not smart the snail is, but it's always following you. Okay.
Is this similar to a short film I saw, which was it's basically a guy who follows you with a small spoon and keeps hitting you repeatedly.
You showed me that.
That was like a music video
amazing.
Or something, wasn't it?
No, it was a trailer for a film that doesn't exist.
It's like a 10-minute trailer.
Yeah. The horribly slow murder with a horribly inefficient weapon.
Yeah. No, it's not like that.
Okay.
It's a lot fast. Well, it's a lot slower, but the death would be a lot faster.
Oh.
Okay. So you don't know where the snail is. That's kind of number 1. There is 2 hypotheticals. We could go with you have it in front of you, and then it begins. You would get given £100 million, but it would always be following you. And if it touches you, you die. Okay. Would you take the 100 million? But that is saying, a lot of people go, I'd fly to the other end of the globe and, do a bit of maths. I'd have 10 years there, and it would take 10 years for the snail to go across the Atlantic Ocean along the floor bed. Bear in mind, we don't know how many craters are down there. It may take your entire lifetime for a snail to cross the ocean. The snail is immortal. I need to clarify that for you.
The immortal
snail.
So
if you, for some hypothetical reason, found said snail, you couldn't kill it.
Could you capture it?
That is a good theory. So I didn't want to hint that at you. That is a very good one. A lot of people have just said with this one, put a bowl over it.
Can't get out of the bowl.
And then you're good. But I'd like to say it was strong enough to get through a bowl, or you couldn't stop it moving. That's what my rule is. You can't.
So would it then move in the bowl?
Just move through the bowl.
Yeah, through the bowl.
Yeah, there's hamster wheels.
Yeah.
Could you put it in a hamster wheel?
I guess so.
So it never technically touches you because it's in a hamster wheel. Or hamster like ball thing.
I guess you have to find it first.
Yeah.
That's the thing. The one I find interesting is you don't know where it is.
Oh.
So you'd be just conscious of all snails. But yeah, so
if you crushed a regular snail, well, so it doesn't have to touch your skin, or does it have to touch something attached to you? So if you tried to squish on it with your foot, Would that count as death?
I'd say that was touching you, yes.
Oh.
Because when you step in, dog poo. Yeah, I got poo on me, on my shoe.
But it's not physically on you.
On you, no.
Interesting.
But I think that still kind of counts.
I'd count that. I'd do that.
You'd do it.
Yeah.
Interesting. See, that's one I don't know if I could do. Bizarrely, I'd dip a ball, but I wouldn't take the snail race.
But you do get significantly more money out of the snail race.
Oh, absolutely. Like you'd shouldn't be able to enjoy the rest of your life. Absolutely. It's an interesting one because it's obviously, would you pay £100 million for constant paranoia? But
yeah, especially while you sleep, if it like.
See, personally, I kind of figured it out of, I'd spend 3 months in the States, maybe 3 months in Australia, and then 6 months in the UK, and hopefully that time the snail is just doing triangles somewhere out in the Red Sea or something like that. I don't know, and never manages to catch up with me, and life's good. So basically, I think you're saying is you can't stay in the same place forever because it would eventually get to you. It's very interesting. This is probably my favourite one because there's so much.
What about in a plane?
See, one of the
Can the snail fly?
See, one of the things that I found really interesting is a lot of people have said that have discussed this is how smart is the snail. So is the snail smart enough to know I can get from A to B quicker if I somehow get onto a plane? So if it got onto a plane and it flew to America, yeah. But then there's also that joke is would the snail be fast enough to then get off said plane? And would it be constantly be put on a loop? So yeah, I've kind of adapted it into my own one of it's always following you. It can't be trapped. So if it is trapped, it will just keep going at its snail speed. But it can't use like public transport. It has to, travel at its own.
Can you imagine it like latched to a plane, sort of underneath it, and then just drops?
Yeah, that's
falls down and then just hits you.
Yeah,
out of the sky.
That's very similar to what somebody else has said on a different different scenario. So, but yeah, that would be the smart snail, which I disagree with. I don't think a snail would be that smart. All the snail knows is I need to get to you. That's it.
I do that.
And has like a homing beacon to find you.
Oh, absolutely.
Spidey sense.
But,
snail sense.
Yeah, as I said, we know very little about the ocean. We don't know how far it goes down. So, if there's a huge 3-4 mile crater that it has to then go down to then come up, that could take it a year. Who knows? Who really knows? It's such an interesting one.
I'd do that.
Okay, so you said yes. What about you, James?
I'd take those odds. I think I could outsmart the non-smart snail.
Fortunately, as well,
I think I could do it.
I'm with you as well because I'd give like a good quarter of my money away, a good 25 million if I had to hire a team of people that would be vigilant for a snail.
You could just set up your property with like snail tracking cameras or whatever.
Snail tracking.
And as soon as it came onto campus or whatever, you'd have a team that an alarm would go off. You have another place ready to go the other side of the world.
You're gone.
You've actually sold it to me now. I'm in. I'm invested.
Sold.
Most of the time I've said no. Okay. Right, next one.
Final
one. This one isn't about life or death, actually.
Oh.
This is about a genie. Okay.
Genie in a bottle, baby.
There's a genie that appears in front of you. Okay. Now,
is it Will Smith?
In the moment, let's say it's Will Smith. So the genie, Will Smith, the genie, is standing in front of you. That's hot. And
yes,
he says to you, "You can give me an amount of money, okay, and that amount of money I will make you more attractive, okay, and you don't know how more attractive that'll be or where specifically you'll become. I'm using quotation marks here. You don't know how more attractive you'll be, but you will become more attractive, okay? And the more money you give him, the more attractive you'll become, but you can only do it once, okay? So you may give him £20 and you may aesthetically not look any different, but something within you would have made you, and again, I'm quoting, more attractive, okay? How much money would you give this genie? But you can only do it once.
I'd claim it's a scam.
It's not a scam, James.
No. This is spam mail. Stop it. I don't. Oh, this is bizarre.
How much money do we is this?
How much money you got? I mean, I got a £5 in my wallet. Does that count?
See, that's the thing. Let's go with how we are now.
How we are right now.
Okay.
I have £5 on my. Does he take contactless?
I'm not going into these things.
Does he take backs payments?
Obviously, we're not millionaires, so we couldn't, say, £1 million. But But we know the value of money. So my hypothetical way I'd look at it is, say I did give him a hell of a lot of money that make me that would mean a way that I could use these new looks to make that money back. It would be money well spent. That may heavily influence your response, but you may not. That value of money may not be enough to actually make anything different.
I'll give him £50.
£50.
Yeah,
Interesting.
Slide him a £50 note. See what happens.
I don't know. See, I don't know. I'd probably just slide him like a tenner. But like,
see what happens.
What are you gonna do?
Interesting. So a couple of other responses. So I'm gonna butcher her name, but Noel Gallagher's daughter, Aeneas, I think her name is. She said £5,000.
Wow. What was if it just makes your feet look pretty? How would you react? You can now be a foot model.
That's the interesting. To you, that might not be a very big improvement, but to some people in that world, that's life changing.
My feet are amazing.
Absolutely.
I mean, I could do with better feet. Let's be honest, but
just because it was
fix my feet.
It was a one-time thing. I think I'd be curious. I'd probably say like 500, maybe £1,000.
Whoa,
that's
big spender, Steve.
Pretty average answer.
Oh man,
because you never know. You never know.
It's true.
I mean, there was also that kind of topical thing of, would it do something internally that would make you kind of
better,
healthier, or better or stronger? Because if you're better or stronger, or say you got ripped for some other reason, would that, again, using quotation marks, make you more attractive? It's a very interesting kind of topic.
Well, would a tenner buy me one ab?
See, a tenner could be as literally as simple as, I don't know, a good example.
Oh, could it fix my eyes?
See, that's the thing. What is the value of that?
I don't know.
That's the topical thing. You don't know.
I mean, would it be the cost of glasses? Because glasses are expensive.
Exactly.
Can confirm.
I don't think a tenner would. But a tenner might.
Could be millions.
That's the thing, is you don't know. So how much are you willing to kind of
I don't know now.
gamble on that? Because say we all did it, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know. What's a good thing?
How about this? So if like, let's say you really like your hair, or your hairstyle or something, and you paid this money and your hair changed color, changed style instantly, and you were like, oh my god, I hate this.
I think it's more like a physical thing.
A physical thing.
Yeah. So let's say
I've got one really strong right bicep, but my left arm's weak.
Let's put it into a very stereotypical term. Okay. So a lot of people who are 5'11" always say, "Oh, I'm 6 foot."
Yeah.
Right. That's like that kind of topical thing.
So that gets you to 6 foot.
Maybe. Who knows?
Potentially.
Who knows? Or as you say with glasses, everyone has their thing that they'd want to improve, but who knows what that money would constitute to. But as I said, it's the only doing it once thing. So if somebody did it and gave them a tenner, and all of a sudden they, look like the pretty Squidward from SpongeBob, then you'd be like, oh my god, okay. But if that same tenner then, when you looked at that person, made no difference from your perspective, how are you going to know? It's so interesting. Interesting.
That's really philosophical.
Yeah. It's how much would you pay? How much do you value it?
I don't know. No more. I think I might have to change my answer.
Because I think if there was like a threshold of, over £1,000 would get you this or that or whatever, then it'd be different. But the pure fact is you don't know, and you can only do it once.
And it's the genie's opinion of what is attractive.
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a randomizer of sorts.
So Will Smith's just going, that's hot.
Yeah.
That's hot.
Because to some people, i.e. my girlfriend, she is obsessed with being tanned, so she does sunbeds and stuff, etc. But, doesn't bother me as a person, but it's what is valued to her. And if she paid a certain amount of money, she'd then be constantly golden. Yeah, constantly permanently golden. Not in the physical term, yeah. But
whereas me, I'm a pale man.
Yeah. But it's what you value a tan to be. I personally don't value a tan. I'm like, well, tan's a tan. But, yeah.
How bizarre.
Interesting one, isn't it?
It's really interesting. Can we have these every week in the future?
Well, I just Googled a few more. So these ones
philosophical questions.
These ones I've heard from other podcasts, so I've kind of just pinched them here and there from 2 other podcasts. But I did just Google... this is actually a good one.
Oh, go on.
If you could learn one skill in the world without trying, and they put in brackets, like Matrix learning style, which would you pick? So if you could learn anything.
Backflip.
Anything. Did you learn how to backflip?
I really want a backflip. I don't know why.
Mine's I'd learn how to speak every language.
See, I've thought too narrow now.
I've always had that.
You've gone way too narrow.
Way too narrow.
Although I would love to be able to backflip. To be fair, it's just something.
You could learn that in like a week.
I don't have the flexibility, Will. I just want it now. No, it's always something that's really thought. Like, imagine you're having an argument with someone. They step back, they backflip. How do you come back from that in an argument? You can't. There is no retort.
Push them over.
What mid-flip?
Well, I could insult you in all my languages.
And I'd be like, I don't know what you're saying.
You just do another backflip.
Exactly. I was just like, no.
No, my go-to is always
God.
languages. I'd love to.
Oh,
I'm terrible. I always think us as British people are so bad at not learning other
very
languages,
correct,
and I'm guilty of it myself.
Jawohl.
And I can't. I'm not good enough to pick up another language now. I think my time's passed. But I'm so envious of people that can speak 2 or 3 languages.
No,
so I'd love, instead of going, I'd like to learn another language, learn all languages.
What, just instantly know everything?
Yeah.
Oh, God, that is good, isn't it?
Mm.
Oh, I've not thought about this enough.
You've
thought about this.
Oh, I've always thought about this. It's be the one, as you could tell without my hesitation, it's languages.
I think mine might be to like professionally use any vehicle.
Oh,
yeah.
A license for everything.
Yeah.
Would that include like planes and stuff?
Like from spaceships to a bike.
Oh,
I like that.
that is cool.
But then
and tanks,
but
track
then-
vehicles.
Yeah, whatever.
Yes.
Anything.
So are you saying you could then like go to the X Games and just kill it?
Yeah, so I could like I could literally I've gone from a BMX to fly a rocket into space.
Oh, then you could do the Red Bull Air Race and just nail
What,
that.
in a rocket?
No, in the Red Bull, Red Bull
just-
planes.
Yeah, then do it
Oh, man.
all to a professional level.
That's a good
I think.
one.
Maybe not the best at everything, because
I like that.
but
I've got it.
that'd be mine. I think.
Become a police interceptor.
Yeah, I'll drive the Scoobies.
That'd be cool.
I know what I'd be now.
What is it?
Be able to play every instrument.
See, that's a good one. I like
Yeah.
that. I really like that.
I'd love to be able to
You
love to be able to. Yeah, you know, there's kind of like street pianos, like in like railway stations. There's one in St Pancras. There's sometimes one in Waterloo. I would just love to be able to just walk up to it and just like bust out a tune. That'd be amazing. That'd be so cool.
I love that. I love that idea. But I think we've had this conversation before. Would that come with the musical understanding of terminology?
It would have to, because otherwise you wouldn't be able to play the instrument.
Oh, curveball! I just thought.
If
I could speak every language, would I be able to speak the language of music? Oh.
Would you be able to write the language? If you can speak it, are you then allowed to write it?
I think that.
So I said learn all languages.
Oh, so you just know the whole pattern.
I think it's only fair that I kind of go with communication languages. So obviously,
see, I think music would fall under notation rather than a language.
Interesting. That works. So I'm more thinking I'd love to be able to go and speak Japanese and then Mandarin. Obviously, then go and speak Russian if I wanted to.
There's a name for people who can do that.
Yeah, I'd love to be able to do that.
It's called polyglot.
Really?
Yeah. I was
Wow.
going to
If
say
you
Steve Cale.
If you YouTube polyglot, there's people who have conversations with each other in like 20 languages.
That'd be so
in like
cool.
2 minutes.
That's ridiculous.
I've always valued the ability to be able to communicate with anybody. Because I always felt bad when I used to work in retail and we couldn't communicate correctly because of a language barrier. And I'm always like, I'd love to be able to just be like.
Do you know any languages, Steve?
None to be able to withstand a conversation. So I know a few Spanish words to be able to go in and, if ever I needed help in a Spanish-speaking place, I could get across what I wanted. Pardon me. And same with French. But not enough to kind of go in and confidently have a conversation and understand what someone's saying back to me. So I could probably say a few words.
In a lot of European countries, they learn English from like the age of 4.
Yeah.
But here, you don't even touch languages till
secondary school.
Yeah.
And by that time, I think it's too late. Because I remember in school, I just criticise how different it was. Because when you're a kid, you're a bit naive to understanding that's just a different kind of culture. You're just like, well, that sounds basically the same, but it's just slightly different. And it's, I don't know.
What about you, Will? Do you know any languages? Can you speak any?
No, I did French GCSE and then happily dropped that afterwards.
Oui.
So I could do a bit of French, but...
See, I didn't even get to the GCSE thing. I dropped it relatively straight away. But that's because it was only because of what class you're in. At my school, you were just given one. So a third did French, a third did Spanish, and a third did German. I really wanted to do Spanish, but I did French, so I got really sour and dropped it.
Oh.
Yeah, but there you go. That's my thing.
I can speak some German.
Yeah.
I can blag a conversation in German. Oh god, I think the greatest day of my life. Actually, no, that's too high praise. A funny day of my life was coming back from Mexico. So I did Duolingo for about a month to learn like basic Spanish words. And like basic things like how much does this cost and all that kind of stuff. I've forgotten most of it now because it really went in for that like 2 weeks solid I was there. And then getting the flight back, we ordered an Uber, and obviously I was like, Uber, that's an American company. Hopefully the people will speak a bit of English. No, this man's English summed down to Tottenham Hotspur, Champions League, Manchester United. That was his English. And having a conversation with him for about a 25-minute taxi ride was revolutionary, as Google Translate became my greatest friend very quickly. Because I loosely understood what he was saying, because I can kind of I can speak it, but I can't really like remember what each word means. And it was I could kind of roughly understand where he was going, and then I was writing my reply into Google Translate for me to then speak it back at him, and he kind of understood it. And when my friend tried it, he really didn't understand her. It was quite funny. I was just like, but my pronunciation is better. But yeah, it was a very amusing ride, and I gave him 5 stars instantly because I'm like, I'm sorry you had to put up with this. 5 stars.
Fair.
But yeah.
I've got 2 more.
Oh, go on.
Shall I save them?
Ooh.
Or have we been hypothetically talking for too long?
I mean, we've been talking a fair while, but I'm going to give this decision to Mr. Devro over there. Dev,
well,
do you want 2 more questions?
How about we do 2 more and then we just skip to Tune of the Week?
Oh.
How about we do that?
Oh. No tech news?
No TechNet updates.
It's up to you. Or how about we do tech news, we do film of the week, and then I finish with the hypotheticals if we've got time. How about that?
Oh, hypotheticals at the end. Let's do it.
Always
Just
say close. All right, okay.
Yep,
right,
let's do
let's
that.
do it. So, speed.
There's some good tech news.
There is.
Steve, have we got any TechNet news or not?
No, just look forward to a bigger and better newsletter next year. We've got something potentially in the works to improve more department news. What else was there?
I was going to play the jingle anyway.
Yeah, and look forward to the pod next year.
That ends TechNet news.
So if you enjoyed everything that's come this year, just expect everything next year, but bigger, better, and more exciting.
Ooh, much excitement.
Yeah, there you go.
Sweet,
nice,
very concise, like it. Tech news. Well, talk fast, go.
Go. Okay. First thing up, we got the Nintendo Switch Lite that's just been announced, and it's kind of pointless.
Amen.
Well,
I love it. Yes, no, it does look pointless.
Yeah, I don't really get it. I saw the trailer and I was like,
Is it
it's
actually
not a Switch?
Is it secretly called the Switch Lite IXL DS New 3DS XL 2D?
Okay, break it down. Why?
It's a small Switch. It doesn't have detachable Joy-Cons. It doesn't have the HD rumble. It doesn't have infrared. And it has a slightly bigger battery life.
And you can't plug it into your telly.
And you can't plug it into your TV.
And it doesn't really look that nice in regards to its colours.
No.
Yeah, so
and also the D-pad is now an actual D-pad, not like full set.
And it's
buttons.
about £50 cheaper. You can get a bundle for about $250 now.
Okay.
And I while I was browsing, I saw you can get a Nintendo Switch, the new Mario Maker game, £30 of store credit, and a year of Nintendo Online for £300. I was like, I'd rather pay £100 to get the Switch with that.
And then you get all the extra features.
Yeah, rather than
because Joy-Cons on their own are like 50, 60 quid.
60
yeah, 60
I got mine
70.
60 on sale, and I had to get the ugly colours for that reason.
Yeah,
ugly colours.
The Splatoon colours for anybody who's curious.
Oh, no.
I don't like them all.
Yeah, so I don't know what, like we were saying, what market they're trying to hit. Anyway,
yeah, who's it for? Just to quickly, who do you reckon it's for?
I think it's for kids.
I
think it's for kids. First games console. Parents don't want them interacting with a TV while they're watching their own programs.
Nail on the head. Yep, I'm with you there. Just to keep them in their portable device that they can sit and not intrude on the home entertainment system.
Also, the battery life lasts a little bit longer, but only by a little bit, so it might be better for a car journey.
I don't think it's all that bad anyway.
No, I've never had an issue.
No, I quite like mine because I turn mine all the way off.
The only issue I've had, which I realised the other day when Will came round with Olive, was if you completely forget to charge your Joy-Cons unless you have the controller charger, you're kind of a bit screwed. Which I was for the first time in having a Switch for like 6 months. That's only because I've been only ever using the Splatoon controllers. My red and blue ones were just dead. just because I'd not used them for so long. Because if ever I've played my Switch recently, it's just been by myself. Bit of Diablo, bit of Zelda here and there.
Yeah, next up we got so Alexa, the Amazon sort of voice system, is now being sort of joined with the NHS web pages, so you can ask it for medical sort of advice, which is kind of interesting, I thought.
How I do CPR, help.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how already it's implemented or anything like that. People concerned with because you've got an account, if you ask it a question, is it going to record the questions you ask it and anything like that? So is it going to keep tabs on sort of...
That's true.
Yeah, but
is it going to keep your medical records
linked
with your Amazon
it doesn't
account?
keep anything, supposedly. So, interesting.
You asked this before last Tuesday.
I always find, though, that it's difficult with stuff like the NHS and doing online surveys because symptoms can fall under a very wide category. It's why when you say, I've got a cold... if you Google it, it's going to tell you you're dying. Because I find it's very difficult without a human examination to kind of really figure that kind of stuff out. Because as I said,
yeah, there's that, what is it, WebMD or something it's called, where you type your symptoms in, it tells you what you got, and half the time it tells you, like you say, you're about to die. So
it's
get to the emergency room now.
I think it's more for advice on situations. So it might be say, with these symptoms, you should see a doctor, rather than sort of dosing out actual...
How do I do it? How do I put a sling on my arm?
Yeah. So, interesting. We'll see where it goes.
Yeah, but if it's like basic first aid stuff...
Yeah, I think that's could be useful.
I've burned myself. What do I do?
Yeah, could be useful. So, interesting. And I think it's better off knowing it's taking it from the NHS webpage than some random sort of other thing. So.
And it's going to stop... I assume the positive that is it's going to stop unnecessary... patients going to somewhere like accident and emergency when it's not an emergency.
Yeah, exactly. So it might help with that a little bit.
Some stuff. I like that.
Also, Canon have announced 2 new sort of pocket cameras. These go for between $700 and £1,000.
Better pull out one of those balls.
Yeah, they're called the G5X Mark II and the G7X Mark III. They've kind of completely trashed the old look of them, so they've kind of changed it utterly. They've got a pop-out viewfinder now, so it kind of comes out of the body, which is quite interesting. However, I want your opinions on these. Canon now support vertical video.
Oh God, no! Really?
Yeah, they've stabbed tradition in the back, and they now support vertical video on these new cameras. So if you hold it vertically, the whole sort of interface and stuff change, and it outputs as a vertical video.
Oh no!
What do you think?
Well, in this kind of Snapchat generation, I can kind of see why.
But I personally can't interact with content that's vertical. It just doesn't look right. Like Instagram TV tries to do it all the time, and I'll only ever use Instagram TV if a normal Instagram video extends like for the extra 15 seconds. Why can't we just turn our screen's landscape? I don't get it.
Yeah.
I'm not
a fan.
Big old thumbs down from me.
They might include this in their new mirrorless models. I don't know.
Oh no!
I just think it's like, why?
Do you ever think we'll get to a stage where our computer monitors have become vertical?
I mean, you can twist some of them vertical.
Yeah, no, but having it as a primary thing.
Oh no!
Well, I was thinking,
what
I stop
it
at a
would
monitor,
be?
I was thinking, what would happen if a cinema was
Oh,
vertical?
no.
Could you imagine?
Does that mean we all have to like lean our heads to the left or something?
I don't know.
Or
I
we
don't know.
just
It
kind
might
of
just
watch
be
it
a whole.
vertical, but
It might be
ugh.
like a whole new format of filmmaking, vertical film.
Oh my God, that scared the life out of me. Oh my goodness, my heart. I thought someone was behind me.
Your heart skips a beat,
Oh
Steve.
my goodness.
I'm keeping you on your toes, mate.
Scared the
That
hell
coffee
out.
is not waking you up enough.
It's a good one though. It's well worth the money.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
All right.
Steve's coffee
And then the
reviews.
last little thing I wanted to touch on was I went to Goodwood on the weekend. It was lovely, apart from the rain, which wasn't so nice. And saw lots and lots of new cars. Lots of new cars, which was pretty cool. It's like a massive event. Obviously, they do the hill climb, and there's loads of things for you to visit. You can easily spend the sort of like whole day there. Saw some like NASCARs and F1, Formula 1 cars going by and stuff. And also a new track record was set by the Volkswagen IDR. and I think it was 42 seconds. It was 42.
41 point
something.
2?
Yeah, something
instead
like that.
Instead of 41.8 was the record. I think.
Which is pretty amazing. I got to see that up close in person, and it's nice to see technology still pushing forward. There was a lot of electric cars there that were going very, very quick, so that was kind of cool to see, and it's definitely interesting compared to how I went to last year. There was maybe 1 or 2, but you were seeing them sort of every run this time, and that was obviously something that's been really pushed. Right now, it's kind of hard to find an electric car for sort of under £25,000 new. Most of them go for sort of 50 to 75 for like stuff that's nice. No, it's not like a
stuff that's nice.
Yeah, not like a Renault Zoe or something,
or a Nissan Leaf.
Yeah. And obviously, there's loads of hybrids out there, but all electric's kind of the way it's going. And it's interesting to see some of these supercars now with the electric engines and just the amount of power they can put down is kind of scary. Yeah, really good out. If you're into cars or anything like that, or just technology in general, I think it's well worth going. Tickets are quite pricey, but you definitely get your money's worth.
What was your car of the festival?
Oh, car of the festival. Let me think.
Car of the show.
For you personally,
I would say, there was a ridiculously spec'd up Shelby Mustang GT, one of the like GT 500s.
Yep.
Oh my goodness, and it was insane. And they turned it on, revved it a few times, so you're kind of like, yeah, that's a monster. So that was pretty cool. I'd say it was that, or there's one called the Aston Martin Speed Brake.
Yep.
Which is kind of like their new sort of like design language moving forward, which looks stunning. That looks absolutely.
Is that
amazing.
the one with a massive brake light across the back? That's like one massive LED. Right?
Yeah, and it sweeps. It's got a really like teardrop design. And it's got 4 doors. It's like a 5-door.
Here's my new 5-door, the Aston Martin.
Yeah, they were showing off. They've got this new like livery, which is all red and then gold wheels. That's kind of like the style they're going with at the moment. It does look pretty cool. Bit Ferrari-esque. I think they've done that with a few models, haven't they? But
very nice.
Yeah, that was the Speed Brake was awesome.
Did you say that there was the line of all the BMWs of every kind of model?
Yeah, so basically the BMW stand this year was like kind of a homage to the M series. So they had every single M car ever made there.
Wow.
So from the M1, which is the clown
rare.
chute. Yeah, the clown chute car. M2, M3, M4, M5, M6, they didn't do it M7, but there's an M8, the brand new M8 there as well.
Wow.
And they had like GT versions of the stuff as well, which is pretty cool.
Sick.
That was nice. And they had the new 1 Series there, which kind of looks a bit ugly in my opinion. But yeah, Goodwood. It was good. That pretty much sums up tech news.
Nice.
Look
at that. Speed news. Should we just rename it to Speed News? Speed News. Oh.
Talk even faster.
So I still don't have a jingle. There will be one next year, 100% guaranteed. But for now, I'll play Steve's
Tune of the Week. Brilliant.
There you go.
It's like some static.
Yeah, that was a bit weird.
Oh, there you go. Of the Week.
There we go. No idea what that static was. So I did think of calling this Tune of the Year as an alternative. I did pick up a Tune of the Week this week. A band called Roosevelt, like Teddy. And the song's called Shadows. Absolutely flipping amazing. Highly recommend. I instant bought the album. It was only $5.99. # no regrets. It's quality. It's kind of think the sort of 80s revival vibe.
Nice.
Mainly because I've been absolutely spamming through Stranger Things 3.
Yeah.
More about that later. But yeah, I didn't think I'd do a track of the week this week, but I stumbled across this and went, yes, this deserves a place in the hierarchy.
Like that.
But boys, what has been your song of this season? So it can either be one I've picked or it can be one of your own.
I think from the playlist.
Yeah.
I think it was the one. Was it last week?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was. Was
Cascade?
That was a banger.
Ooh.
One moment.
I do have the whole list in front of me. So you had On Your Mind by Cascade was last week. You had Avicii, you've had Keen, you've had Dream Theater, you've had Monsters of Men, Lumineers, Feeder, Feeder Revival, Foster the People, my favourite band, or one of my favourite bands, Artie, Netsky. Start with Netsky, oddly enough.
Interesting.
Yeah. What would you? So Will's going for Cascade.
Yeah, that was,
On Your Mind.
That was good.
It's fresh
Steve?
in my mind, but I think that would probably be I think there's another one that's screaming out, but no, it's me.
Pick me.
I can't for the life of me remember what it was.
Favourite Sound by Audion and Echo Smith. Two Door Cinema Club.
That was quite good.
Tame Impala. That was not a bad one.
I want to say it was one of the ones I like. I remember I think it was I Need the Wilkinson.
Wilkinson Metric remix. That is a banger.
I think that one because I played that to the point if I don't like it anymore. But if you play it that much in a year, because what I had saved on my Spotify is I have the original I Need by Wilkinson, which is a lot calmer. I would say it was like calm. It's in general, and then the remix would kick in. But the way the songs blended together from one start ending, the other one starting, ended up being like a 10-minute mix, which was really good. So I'd probably say that one. Yeah,
nice.
I like Wilkinson.
He's good. Within theirs.
Yeah, that's my pick.
Nice.
Yeah,
cool.
I'd probably pick Feeder because massive fanboy, obviously.
No Keen.
I'm keen for Keen.
Nice.
Don't get me wrong. But I think I love Feeder that little bit more.
Cool.
And I'm glad they're back.
I like the 3 different ones. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, that's Tune of the Year. Boom. There'll be more songs next year. If we have the right license fees, we might actually be able to play them. Who knows?
Oh, yeah, that'd be cool.
But yeah, we'll let you know if we can. Otherwise, for now, just search Where's My Kitbag playlist on Spotify, and there's a massive playlist full of them all. There's a link to it in the description down below on SoundCloud and on YouTube. And then that description gets bounced to everything else, hopefully, anyway. Otherwise, what have we been watching this week? Now, we all went to see one particular film, didn't we?
We did.
Called Midsommar. Midsommar.
Rated R for mature.
Rated 18. Now, I've got lots of views on this.
So I think we should give it some context before we get into it. So this film has received a lot of attention for how, I'm using quotation marks again, scary and disturbing that this film is. And even his name unfortunately escapes me, the person who plays Mark in the film said that when he saw it, he had vivid nightmares that night.
Will Poulter?
Yes, potentially. And then there was a few other ones saying it's like one of the scariest films of the generation. I read another review. I want to say it might have even been Empire's review. Either way, basically saying that this film is something to see if you're a horror fan. So I went in with the anticipation. Bear in mind, Hereditary, which was the director's last film, was, in my opinion, probably one of the strongest horror films I've seen in the last 5 years, I'd say.
Ooh, high praise.
There's a few classics like from old times which aren't as scary, but I think do better in the horror world. But was so original and so impressive that it's people say, "Oh, what's a good horror film to watch?" Hereditary was a thing, and I remember speaking to you guys saying, "Well, if it's anything like Hereditary, if it's even on the same par as Hereditary, it's going to be incredible." Yeah, so that is the headspace that I personally was in going into this film, especially with it being an 18 as well. Obviously that's going to make you think, why? Most horrors these days, I even think Hereditary might have even been a 15. Most horrors are 15s for that reason. What did we actually end up seeing? What would you, if you could put it into a genre?
If I could put that into a genre?
Yep. What would you class it as?
Goodness gracious. Psychedelic fantasy.
Interesting. I'd have gone foreign drama.
Foreign drama.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was quite a lot of Swedish in it. Bear in mind, it is based in Sweden, with very little subtitles, which I felt was more confusing than helpful.
Well, I see you have the Midsummer thing up. Do you have a just log line that we could read out for
yeah, well, on IMDb it is classed as a drama, horror, mystery.
Interesting.
So that's what it sort of is officially.
I get the mystery, I get the drama. Did not get any horror out of that film at all for me.
The log line is: a couple travels to Sweden to visit a rural hometown fabled Midsummer's festival. What begins as an idyllic retreat quickly develops into increasingly violent and bizarre competition at the hands of a pagan cult.
See, that last bit was my issue. That pagan cult really sells it to be something that it very much isn't. Would you want to put the spoiler warning on there? Because I know it is still in cinema.
Yes, that is. No, where are you? Where is my spoiler alert? There it is.
I think it kind of needs to be discussed. So if you haven't seen the film, or you're planning to go and see the film, or whatever,
please tune out now for in a period of time.
Apologies for my bottle falling there.
There were... So obviously we went in, the film started, and there was a few disturbing opening scenes that really touch on the side of suicide. Let's not beat around the bush. Which obviously fueled the character drive. That I thought was actually really interesting, and I thought it could have really set up where I thought it was going. So I was happy to kind of deal with the slow pacing. I think we all agreed it was, at the times I was like, I'm getting bored. Because there was a lot of character development with very little payoff. Like, they would tell you a lot about a character which really didn't need to be said. And then unfortunately, I personally don't really think it was necessary. There was a lot of drug abuse in it, which could you argue from your both perspective that it was an excuse to give some of the visuals that we saw?
Quite possibly. I mean, there was quite a lot of drug taking in there, of various substances.
But I felt like they were given to the people, like the visitors, but never really. Like, you see them taking it sometimes, but obviously not the effect it has on them.
Just for context, we assume it is some sort of psychedelic. We know the first one was mushrooms, which induces hallucinations, strong hallucinations, which is why we're kind of touching on it. And then we can only assume there was some tea of sorts that had some sort of what do you call it, root or flower in it. You could see it in the mix. That would do a similar kind of thing, because there was, even though I thought it was really impressive, there was a few scenes where the lead actress in it, she was completely fine in frame. She wasn't manipulated, but around her
everything
of stuff
else was like warping.
It looked impressive, but obviously then it slightly jars the narrative of what is reality and what isn't.
Well, since I last looked at the IMDb page last week, the reviews have gone down a bit. It's now sitting at a 7.8.
Wow.
Out of 11.
7.8?
Yeah,
that's high.
Out of 11,000 reviews. 11, yeah.
So that is quite high. My issue, unfortunately, which I've kind of touched on quite a bit, is because I was expecting, a Hereditary of others, or another Hereditary style. I was very disappointed, and I was constantly waiting for something to make my jaw drop. There's a couple of scenes in Hereditary, if you haven't seen it, which really were disturbing, were scary, and really kind of made me think, and these images kind of were very much burned into my kind of brain for a good few weeks after. So if you aren't a good horror fan, I wouldn't recommend watching Hereditary. But if you don't mind a bit of gore, would you say? Then Midsommar's not scary in the slightest.
No.
I wouldn't even brand it as that.
What would you assume Midsommar's budget was?
10 million?
I don't know. I'd say fairly hefty. They had to obviously get everyone out to, I'm assuming, Sweden, because the visuals looked very un-England, especially with the rolling forests and everything.
Horrors usually don't always fund that much. And
no.
With there being very much on-screen effects rather than very little post-production, besides the warping, I'd probably say around 10 to 20 million.
There wasn't the cast wasn't, mega. So, I'd say between 5 and 10 mil.
Ooh, lower than mine.
Yeah. What was it? Would you
IMDb classes it as less than 10 million.
Oh,
so I think the next bracket is less than 5 million. Yeah. So it is.
Oh, in my bracket.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that's very fair, very reasonable. My rating on the film has slowly increased as time's gone on, because I've learned to accept what I witnessed. But unfortunately, actually in there live in the moment, I was expecting, especially with the line pagan cult, I was expecting there to be some sort of otherworldly worship, or how do I kind of describe it? Dark forces playing as a driving force for the narrative, because Dan McGrath, Mr. McGrath, head of film himself, had a really, really perfect description of the film. And ever since reading that, I was like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. And he said it's a commentary on the normalization of extremist views, which I think is pretty spot on in my personal opinion. Obviously, if I'd have known that before, I would have been a bit calmer going into the film, because I was in there going, I'm going to see some stuff in this film that is going to make my adrenaline go through the roof. The tension's going to be really scary. You know, I like that kind of adrenaline chase. Like, everyone's a bit of an adrenaline junkie in their own way. People like roller coasters. People like, you know, skydiving, fast cars. I like a good horror. I like the way something visual, fictional, can make you feel a certain emotion. I've always liked that. So going in with that headspace, and that my body was kind of ready for that adrenaline rush, not getting any payoff whatsoever, I was really disappointed. But obviously if I'd have gone to the cinema knowing, okay, I'm watching, you know, a mystery drama that's a bit more on the raw side in regards to showing you some pretty messed up imagery, not scary imagery, just pretty graphic imagery, then I would have been like, okay, cool. I probably would have enjoyed it more. But unfortunately, I think the reviews, from my own personal opinion, the reviews and cast commentary on it, and even IMDb labeling it as a horror and its age rating, just kind of killed it off for me a bit. Like, to the point of, I think it's probably going to be the lowest rated film. Actually, no, the lowest rated film now. Obviously, there's a film I'm going to talk about later that is the lowest film. But yeah, I wanted to love it. I really wanted to love it, and I'm so disappointed with its hype.
It's a little fact for you guys. I don't know if you know. This was brought to my attention by Chris Zuckerman on YouTube, who does film reviews. In 2003, there was a film released called Midsummer. Okay, spelt summer like SUM. And the principle is the main character, Christian. Don't know if that name rings a bell with you guys, because the male lead in the film's also called Christian. Yep. Coincidence, okay.
Oh my days, I'm looking at the IMDb page. Yep.
His sister commits suicide. That's how the film starts.
Okay.
Right.
Seems very similar to this.
Does he have a girlfriend called Danny or Danielle?
After his 4 friends graduate, they decide to head off to Sweden for the Midsummer Festival.
Okay, so I'm basically now looking at the cast of this minus the lead actress. Yeah.
And it's essentially the exact same storyline. But Ari Aster said that there is no correlation between the two.
Midsummer 2003.
And you kind of think, have a look on IMDb when you're finished, when at home, whatever, and just check out. I'm not saying anybody's ripped off or copied or anything like that, but have a look. It seems a bit fishy.
Yeah.
What was the genre of Midsummer? Was it drama, mystery, horror by any chance?
It is the same, yeah. However, it is a whole hour shorter than Midsummer.
Interesting.
Because Midsummer was two and a half hours, which is the pacing for me was wrong.
Horrors usually aren't that long. They're usually 90 to 120 minutes. Typically. I guess maybe, I don't know if it's me being a bit of a film snob, or quite the opposite, bit of a naive, film viewer. But sometimes I want reality with a film like that, especially like pagan cult worship and stuff. Obviously, I know they kind of a lot of films are inspired by real mythology and demonic mythology, which I find really interesting. Don't like to dabble in it too much because it's very scary. But when films are inspired by those things, I find it really interesting. And I think with all the way that the pagan cult, if you want to call them that, I really disagree, do their life cycle, if you guys know what I'm talking about the lifespan correlating to months, i.e. Your adult life of, I want to say 18 to 36.
Yes.
Every 18,
yeah, that was
16.
like kind of summer.
Yeah. Once you hit 72 in that cult, you're at the end of your time. And I guess I got excited by that premise because I thought, okay, that is when they're going to sacrifice themselves to this weird demon thing or whatever sort of god that they think they worship, which is obviously quite a malicious one. And then that was going to be the driving force of these outsiders realizing that they are dappling in some dark stuff and want out, and obviously that triggers this, this force to use this cult as a weapon, which I thought would have been really cool. That's what I was hoping for, especially after seeing as I'm going to call it, the cliff scene, because that personally was amazing. I thought, I cannot fault that for a scene, because it was so raw, it was so visceral. I've never sat in a cinema like that where people were genuinely like, what? Oh my goodness! That scene itself, take the whole film out, either bookend, that was a 10 out of 10 scene in regards to engaging audience emotion. Like, as an audience member, I felt exactly the same as Danny did, of like, do I cry? Do I laugh? Because I shouldn't have seen something like that. Again, if anybody's listening to it and they are not good with gore or graphic imagery,
do not watch.
Stay away from that film. In every aspect.
Just going to say wooden mallet.
Yeah, but again, that then gets onto another subject.
And then it kind of ruins it all.
Yeah, that scene was amazing. The effects were unbelievable, to the point of it looked so real. Minutes later, there is a scene, for those who've seen it, it's called the corpse burning scene. Well, that's what I'm calling it. It's not called that. We are using that. And for those who've seen it will know. The scene opens with these two corpses being burned. The corpses themselves look like latex rubber things, and it was just awful. Like,
it looked really cheap.
Very cheap. It did. Yeah. Very breaking immersion. And I'd much would have preferred the camera to have been, a wide shot, and it to kind of be a stand-in actor that was, caked in makeup, cut away to the fire burning, and then putting the fake people in. That it's far away enough that we don't need to see that. I always believe if you're gonna take a gamble like that, it has to look real. If it doesn't look real, you're gonna lose your audience. And I felt like they lost that.
Do you want to know a quick interesting fact?
Yeah. Always.
Okay. So, according to Ari Aster, the director, this was meant to be his first horror movie, and Hereditary was intended to be a family drama.
Hereditary was everything I wanted it to be. That's why I think was his issue. If Midsommar had come first and then Hereditary came out, I probably wouldn't have even gone to see Hereditary. That's why I think that they set such a high bar with Hereditary that, let's say, fans, I'd very much say that made me a fan of their work.
Yeah, he's got from some of that stuff, his ideas, his screenplays and stuff have gained big audiences.
If you haven't seen Hereditary, definitely check it out, because it is a plus in my personal opinion, because of how original the idea is, and how it's constructed. That I probably won't see another one of their films, because I'm very on the fence. Maybe I'm saying that because I've got a sour taste in my mouth, but yeah.
See, for me, I thought it felt very similar to The Ritual that we saw a few weeks back, in the kind of similar setup where you've got this kind of community. Yeah. Obviously, in that case, they stumbled across it. In this one, they visited it. And I thought The Ritual did it significantly better, because, like you were saying, there was actually like some kind of demon creature. Yep. There was some kind of like God of the Woods thing. Whereas here it was all very, let's worship this entity that we don't see or do or whatever.
There was no, as you say, there was no driving element to their actions.
No. Or nothing that we saw anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
disappointing.
For me, cinematography was very, very much up there.
Yep.
The set design was phenomenal. Like, you could just stare at the background and gain so much information. There's a lot of bits in the film, as we were kind of looking through, you could take note. Like, there's a scene where they all sat at the dinner table, and Christian's drink is orange compared to everyone else's being yellow. Don't know if you picked that up as well. Yeah. There's those little bits, and like, obviously the tapestry and the paintings and stuff like that all hint towards stuff, and like the bear imagery. But you get to the end of the film and you're like, it wasn't really concluded. It wasn't really wrapped up. Yes, it's kind of like a symbolism for the pagan rituals. And they just didn't do much for that opening scene at all. It was an excuse to give her a bit of grief. Yeah. To handle grief as well. I mean, they just didn't. There was one nightmare scene, and they kind of referenced it very, very briefly. That was it.
Yeah.
I was like, what's the point? They might as well have just travelled to Sweet.
Yeah,
So
like I know what you mean as well, because the shot where she's laying in bed in the fetal position and there's that huge painting of the bear early in the film. You knew a bear was coming at some point, but they never explained why. That I didn't like, and obviously, as we've already given the spoiler warning, Christian being in the bear costume, bear carcass, let's say.
I was gonna say costume.
Had, for the context of what we understand about this cult, had no meaning, which was frustrating, very frustrating. And the only other horror convention that I think is worth talking about is, what did you guys think of the comedic relief moments? So there was a lot of funny stuff in the film that happened.
I felt I was laughing at it far too much because I was in a similar boat to you, where I thought it was going to be something different, because you showed me some clips from Hereditary. I was like, oh, this could be good fun horror. And then it kind of went backwards on itself. And for me, I hate leaving a cinema disappointed, and I left a cinema disappointed.
Yeah,
because I genuinely thought
me out of
immersion. 100%.
Because I was more thinking like you get why they have rituals and stuff like that and do different things, but I think there's a way of adding comedic points to it, especially in this, in a way where you're kind of laughing out of disbelief.
Yeah.
But in this, like you were saying, Bill, you're kind of laughing, and I instantly thought I'm in a cinema, I'm watching this film, and I'm not enjoying it.
Yeah. It disengaged you. And also it was kind of like they put all the comedy on Will Poulter as like the only say something funny, just do something dumb. Yeah. It was like
But I mean he was obviously branded the fool for the whole thing, wasn't it? Especially in that last sequence.
Yeah.
And if you remember when they first get there, there's these children running around. They're like, oh, what are they doing? And he says they're skinning the fool. I don't know if you remember that bit, yeah. And then obviously it's kind of referencing to what they actually do.
Really weird.
I've always just found in horrors, comedic relief is always a great element to use when you want to calm your audience down. So a lot of the time is we want to build you up, we want to make you jump, keep your heart rate going, but we don't want your heart rate to be beating above 100 beats per minute the whole film. We want to calm you down, get you to relax, take a breather, and that comedic moment is always that that weapon that you essentially use in horror. And I found I was getting frustrated with the comedic moments. I'm like, I don't need this. You haven't made me nervous. You haven't made me tense. You haven't got my heart rate up at all.
Yeah. These
comedic moments are wasted, because that's how I've always viewed comedic moments of it's literally the director going, look, our characters are a bit more relaxed. They're looking at the lighter side. You as an audience relax. We're not going to try and scare you again. Obviously, sometimes they do in conventions. They'll throw in a comedic moment, then bang, scare you straight away. But that's how the tool is so useful. I personally found. So it was almost annoying seeing how many comedic moments there were, because they were just so unjustified because of the polar opposite of what we were hoping for. I was hoping for in regards to those horror techniques to scare me, disturb me, whatever, because they weren't there to counteract the comedic moments, if that makes sense.
Did we do final scores? Should we give final scores on it?
Yes, let's do it.
Start with you, Belle. What are you giving it?
Do not recommend 3 out of 10.
Steve?
I think because I know what yours is, I'm going to say 4, which means yours would be
6.
6? Oh, okay, I thought you were going to say 5. I'm only saying 4 primarily because I think if I went in with a different attitude and I knew what I was going to be watching in regards to, there are no demons, there are no jump scares or anything like that, chill out, it's going to be a drama, it's a real think about this kind of film. I may have even scored it similarly as a 6, but I've got to take into account of how the hype had led me down a completely different road. A great example that I made was it's like going in to see a Chucky film, if those out there know, Child's Play, and then getting Toy Story. Toy Story is still a good film, but it's not what I went in there expecting, and vice versa. It's like going in really relaxed, expecting Toy Story, and getting Child's Play.
For me, it happened almost exactly the same. Maybe it's just a thing with horrors at the moment, horror quote unquote, with Us. Yeah. Because it was branded and the trailers made it look terrifying.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of horrors, and before this film and before Us, I was like, I'm not going to enjoy this. I'm not going to sleep well tonight. And then after watching it, you're like, it was just for me, it was a good thing because I got to enjoy them as a not designed to be set out as a quote, like a stereotypical horror. But I can see why most other audience members were like, "What was that? There was nothing in it that kind of pulled me that way." So
it's why I've swayed away from like the Conjuring and Annabelle films, because they're good, but they're too much. That's the point of they're trying to scare you every scene, and that's why I'm a big fan of Hereditary, because there's a lot of character development, but the payoff is so rich, which is what I enjoyed. Like I found the Conjuring, especially the first one, for those who've seen it. There's a girl, or a possessed girl, it's no spoiler, appears on top of a closet within half an hour of the film starting, and that's really, really rare for a horror. And then you get an hour of, demonic or paranormal activity, so to speak, which, it worked, it was alright, but like everything, like every producer does, they get a taste for it. And I think there's like 4 Annabelle films now. I think there's going to be a 4th Conjuring film. That's like 8 films within that similar kind of universe, which is too much. So I'm not excited for Annabelle. I'm not excited for the new Conjuring film. So it's an interesting balance to try and find, but I guess you can't please everyone, because Ross, teacher Ross, gave it an 8. He said he really thought it was a really strong film, which is fair. I completely understand that.
Everyone's got their thing.
Yeah, and I can see why. That's the thing. I can see why. It's just from my perspective, I was incredibly disappointed. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. There we go.
Have we seen anything else to? But obviously, Steve's got a corker for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna spoil it.
Do you want another spoiler warning?
Well, before you hit the spoiler warning, the film's called Await Further Instructions. I'm not going to go on. I actually watched 3 or 4 films this week, but the other ones most people would have seen. But there was a really interesting synopsis about a family. I don't have it to hand, so I'm just going to kind of wing it. But basically, a dysfunctional British family try and rekindle their issues over a Christmas meal, later to find that they are trapped in their own house and have to follow instructions from an unknown source through the television. That's essentially the plot line. Didn't see a trailer for it, and originally, this is where I want you to hit the spoiler warning. So the film's called Await Further Instructions for those who haven't seen it, on Netflix. So you can check it out if you want to. It had a pretty good cast, actually. So that's what kind of drew me to it. First hour of the film's incredible. I thought it was really interesting commentary, I'm stealing Dan's term here, on some British households and racism and especially with the whole Brexit debate. Not going to go into that myself, but it was really, really interesting. Basically, you follow a couple who the gentleman dates an Indian lady, and evidently you put 2 and 2 together, and the family don't really accept it. So he's gone away for 3 years, and the film is set when he goes back for a Christmas weekend, and he's brought the lady with her, but evidently there's still a bit of divide because he's gone away for 3 years. So in the middle of the night, they're like, this is really awkward. They've had a few racist terms kind of thrown at them, and they're not content. They came to rekindle a bit of family love, and they're like, no, it's not working. So they go to leave, and they realise that the house is boarded up with metal in every entrance. So the door's got metal in front of it, the window has metal in front of it, and the TV just says await further instructions. Cut your long story short, there's about an hour of different things that come up, basically telling them to do different stuff, i.e. use needles to vaccinate themselves, quote unquote, isolate the infected, which is where a big racism topic comes in, where they isolate the Indian lady because that's what they think, which is obviously terrible, and it really is a driving motivation to dislike members of the family, because they're very traditional. They believe that it's the government doing it to protect them, which you kind of believe. You're a bit unsure as an audience member, and then all of a sudden it just takes this awful turn of this really impressive, really good build-up, and then the isolated lady, she's locked in a room. She ends up trying to stand on her TV to look through like a crack in a window or something like that, and she knocks the TV over and then takes the back off, and there's a beating heart in there. I'm like, oh no. They then realise that they need to crack open the TV that's downstairs.
Oh, no.
They open it up, and there's another beating heart in there, and then it basically turns into a killer TV scenario. Terrible.
For those who can't tell from Steve's voice, Steve looks visually depressed.
I was gutted because
describing this.
I was baffled at what they were doing. Literally, the wires, like black wires that you use for everything, plug into, they start spurting out of the TV, having arms and stuff like that, and start trying to kill things.
Is it basically the Kool-Aid jug, but as a TV?
Kind of, but very poorly executed. Very poorly. It was laughably bad. Like one of the worst films I've probably ever seen. To the point of the wires even go into the dad and start using him as a puppet to like try and attack the protagonist, which was just mental, absolutely mental. And I was just like, it's not even good. Like it looked terrible. The idea was so poorly driven, and then the last shot of the film is like a drone shot of every house being attacked by TVs. What? It doesn't make any sense. Like, it was just so weird.
So bad. Like,
something that would have killed in the 80s. Like, out of this, people would have loved something like that in the 80s. Didn't work in 2017.
Ouch.
It got released in 2017, so it was a new film.
Out of 10?
I'm only giving it a 2 because the build-up was actually pretty good. But I would have given it a 1 otherwise. But it's a strong 2 because the build-up and the character development was actually really strong. It was a really impressive commentary on some households in Britain today, which is a real shame, but it is true. And having that as a motivating force, that's where I thought, okay, the film's going somewhere really impressive. Admittedly, I didn't know where it was going. I thought it was going to go along the lines of some sort of apocalypse or terrorist attack or something like that, which was, bringing the British public to unintentionally rise up against their own government. That's what I thought was happening, some sort of hacker conspiracy. No. The TV wanted to kill you. Completely unmotivated. Wires were everywhere.
Oh no, my Samsung, please.
So the interesting thing is you were led to believe that all the boarding outside the house was metal. It wasn't. It was the TV's wires very, very closely bunched together, which made like a kind of impenetrable force.
Oh.
Yeah.
God. What would a pair of wire snips just been able to like cut through them?
No.
Because
there's a couple of scenes in there where they try and break through it, etc. It doesn't work. And they have to deposit the used syringes through this kind of slot, which the TV tells them to do. And one of the characters tries to pry the slot open, and ends up taking his fingers off.
Oh,
so
nice.
It was just so silly. If you want a film that is just laughably bad, await further instructions. With a good cast as well. The cast was actually pretty good. Acting was actually pretty good. And then the TV starts attacking people, and I'm like, no, I'm sorry. I'm
out.
Terrible. So yeah, that's kind of mine. I'm not going to go into the other stuff I watched. I checked out Suicide Squad, which everybody's seen. Meh. Okay, enjoyed it. I guess 7 out of 10. Just another superhero film. And then what else did I watch? The Emoji Movie. Just because, again, I'm doing my animation kind of thing. For an original idea, pretty impressive. People will animate anything these days, and they didn't do too bad. James Corden shouldn't be voice acting. I'll unfortunately give him that. He has too much of a distinctive voice to him to be a believable character in a anything really. But that was all right. 6, maybe even a 5, but it's not for me. But for original idea, pretty good. That's pretty much it for anything that's worth talking about. And then you're going to talk about it yourself. I've caught the first episode of Stranger Things 3, which I think is a good segue onto you.
Oh yes, Stranger Things 3. I finished it yesterday, and I want more straight away. That is
interesting.
I honestly think, obviously seeing all the Stranger Things is Stranger Things 1, 2, and 3 now. I honestly think 3 is the best out of all 3.
Okay.
2 is the worst, because they went off on too much of a tangent for me.
There was that one episode which was just pointless. It was that one which like goes off.
It was literally the I'm traveling across a map in a game level, where it's just like, you've got to get to this point for no real reason, but we're going to make you do it anyway. So obviously season 1 was great because obviously did the whole setup. 2, I thought there were glimmers of hope, but overall it wasn't the best for them. And then 3 is absolutely smashed out of the park, and I don't want to spoil anything at all. But the 80s vibes are back. I think the acting quality has gone up a notch. I think the relationship between the kind of character groups you've got has improved. Obviously, all the kids have got older. The music is just as amazing as it was. Everything kind of revolves around this massive mall. So that's incredibly important to everything. which I quite like that they've got, instead of just being like these kids' houses where they're like playing D&D in the first couple of seasons. It's now like this is the location where everything is going down. And it's just amazing, and I can't spoil anything because you're my friends and I don't want you to hate me.
Okay.
But for me, I honestly think it's incredible. I love it so much.
So I need to ask for 3 ratings out of 10 for you.
Yes.
Season 1, Season 2, and then Season 3, please.
All right. Season 1, I'd give an 8.
Okay.
Season 2, I'd probably say 6.5.
Ooh, okay. Season 3?
9.5.
9.5.
Oh,
I was expecting a 9.
Yeah. For me, I never give 10s for
Was there
barely
anything
anything, apart from Jurassic Park 1.
If you couldn't spoil anything,
if I couldn't spoil anything,
was there anything you didn't like?
Anything I didn't.
So I know when a series just hits the nail on the head for you, sometimes you look over the bad things because everything is open to criticism. Is there anything you were like? Maybe there was some acting that you didn't like, or there any like?
I think for me, even in episode 1, there was bits I didn't like. I think, but hopefully it gets better from there.
Yeah.
Oh, it does. I mean, I think I like. I think I love and hate Will's character. I like him because obviously he's gone through all the trauma of season 1 and 2. But I think there were some points where I thought he was a little bit too like kind of needy.
Yep.
Do you know who he reminds me of?
Who?
Bran Stark.
Yes.
I think he plays that role.
Yes.
In the Stranger
Although
Things
he's a better
universe.
actor.
Yeah.
I think much better actor.
But he kind of plays that role of like, the
warrior.
Yeah.
Essentially the warrior.
My only, I
go.
don't think it's a spoiler, but only from episode 1. I've always been frustrated with his character is he goes through some traumatic stuff, but then when somebody goes, "Are you okay?" he goes, "Yeah, I'm fine."
Yeah, okay.
Say something. Just
Be
people are there
emotive.
to help you. Yeah, like go. Oh, I just had a vision, or like I just saw something weird. Just making people aware of that is something you would do. I personally feel. I know when you're an introverted kid, that is your character, arguably, which obviously I may have answered my own question, but I just feel like if you'd gone through that and your friends had helped you through everything, bear in mind I don't know where it's going. I just feel like if you see anything that is a bit out of the ordinary, or you're having arguably PTSD is what we're kind of maybe dealing with Will's character, you would just talk about it. Maybe. I don't know. That's my only frustration is, but he is a kid, so, you know.
Otherwise,
I don't know how kids deal with stuff.
obviously, 11's character has developed, I think, significantly better in 3 than 2.
Interesting.
By an absolute, even though 2 was basically, here's 11's story. Although I do feel that she would probably, I don't know what the distance in time is between, I can't remember what the distance in time between season 2 and season 3 is. I want to say 18 months or something, but I can't remember. I'll have to rewatch it and find out.
I think it was 6 months or something.
6 months.
Yeah.
So a fair chunk of time. I mean, Elle's grasp of English has improved a lot, but I think it probably would have improved more, potentially. But I think that kind of would potentially ruin the character if she was like talking in full prose at all the times, where she's still a little bit confused about stuff and things. I like how they're developing Max's character throughout the thing. I think that's a big plus for me. For how they're just developing her into like the kind of gang, as it were. And yeah, no, I think that's the only thing that's really been annoying me is Will.
Interesting.
I think.
Okay. Nice.
Cool.
But yeah, that's for Will, the 0.5. No, 0.5 Will, not that Will.
What about our Will? What's our Will been watching?
Yes, our Will.
It's called Schitt's Creek, but it's not spelt like that. It's SCHITT.
Okay.
Because it's a family name. And it is hilarious. I highly recommend it. It's like 8.5 on IMDb.
Ooh, high praise.
And just quick brief like synopsis of it. It's this sort of millionaire family who've got it all. And suddenly their sort of like business manager takes all their money, and the only thing they're left with is a town that the father had jokingly bought for his son one birthday when he was like 13 or something. And they're kind of like, you'd be serious, you actually bought the town? It's like, yeah. So all they have is a few possessions they can kind of carry with them, and then they have to move to a motel in this town. And obviously that their lives are drastically different, and it's kind of them trying to A, get back on their feet, and then B, sort of adapting to this completely different lifestyle. And it's hilarious. It's absolutely hilarious. We're just binging through episodes, 20-minute episodes, so you can get through it nice and quickly. But we just finished season 1. It's just hilarious. Like the actors are just phenomenal. They're so good. So yeah, I highly recommend watching that.
Where do you
on
find
Netflix.
it?
Netflix,
Nice.
5
Cool.
seasons.
Yeah. Wow.
Good
How
binge.
long are the episodes?
Good binge. 20 minutes.
Oh, sick.
Yes, very
Nice.
good. You just
Okay.
chuck it on, have a really good laugh. It's like there is like obviously there's a continuing narrative through it, but you feel like you can kind of jump into any episode and just enjoy it.
Yep.
It's good fun.
Fair.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No, it's pretty much just been that
Yeah.
mostly at the moment.
I like that. Big old film of the week section.
Nice.
I think I'll
Huge.
save the hypotheticals for
Yeah.
September.
Yeah.
I'll just keep them in the bank.
Well, we'll have some new hypotheticals.
Yep.
But yeah, this has been season 1 of Where's My Kitbag.
Wow.
That's
Hasn't time flown?
Yeah. Hey.
Yeah, tune of the week. So yeah, thank you to obviously all the listeners for listening along for these last 25 episodes. Next year we'll probably have a few more.
Yeah.
Don't know how many, but we'll see. We'll kick things off in September when we're back. We'll probably try and find some time to do like the first episode when everyone's back, and then we'll take it from there. Otherwise, thank you very much from me, James.
Me, Will.
I'm Steve.
And you've been listening to the Where's My Kitbag podcast. Thanks for listening to the Where's My Kitbag podcast for this entire year for season 1. Please feel free to drop us a comment about anything you want us to cover in the next season down below. And as always, you can hit us up on Instagram and Twitter, F6 Media Film.